Okay, so just resuming a public meeting after taking questions on the confidential attachments associated with item 5.4, which was the request for proposals for redevelopment of the Leederville car parks. And we were joined by Ian Mickle and John Del Dosso, who have been consulted to the City of Vincent for their advice throughout this process. So we've finished asking questions on that item, and we'll now move to item 5.5, which is RFT PP 249 of 2023. Can't I just do this because I started reading it? Mount Hawthorn Youth Skate Space. We'll come back to 5.1 after this. Any questions on the skate space? Councillor Loden.
Just wanted to flag that I had a question on the confidential item attachment. Sorry, I didn't actually reflect on that at the time. So if we could ask that at the end.
All right. Well, look, we've just come out of confidential. So I think if you're happy to wait, I think we might just need to churn through some of these.
I'm completely happy to wait. That's fine.
Are there any questions in relation to this item that aren't the confidential attachment? Okay, no. All right. So item 5.1, number 4, Primrose Street, Perth, proposed alts and additions to a group dwelling. Any questions? No. Okay. Thank you, Carson. Item 5.6, Leederville Oval Precinct Master Plan. Questions on this item? Councillor Loden.
I recognise the financial implication says 50 grand in the next budget year, but I assume there is potentially additional bigger spends beyond that. And I'm just curious about our potential ability to fund those forward things, given we still have quite a number of other activities we have not funded in our forward plan, and whether or not it might be opportune to consider this in the future when we maybe are in a position to have a stronger budget financial position to fund the forward activities that might come out of something like this.
Through you, Michael, that's correct. We've just got the $50,000 on budget to assist with a consultant to actually putting together the plan. That is the cost that we see for putting together the plan itself. Without the plan, it's impossible to say how much it would cost to implement the plan. A key objective of writing this plan is for advocacy, is for getting funding, is for having a plan that is able to be implemented, not a plan that would solely rely on the city's resources and municipal funding. But we do not know what that looks like until we have, I guess, committed the $50,000 to a consultant and staff resourcing time to have a plan.
So is there any merit to the idea of deferring this for like 2 years?
Through you, Mayor Cole, from administration's point of view, this and we will discuss this with council when we discuss our advocacy agenda and the approach for that. We would see this as a key site for advocacy. Without a plan, it's very hard to advocate because it's very hard to know what we want on the site. The plan would be used for advocacy to get that funding, but also we would then be in a better position to have funding for things that we want to implement as per the plan, rather than ad hoc investment that we may get without a plan. So it is administration's recommendation that we go ahead with this master plan commencing next financial year, noting that $50,000 is on budget proposed next financial year. So council would have to approve that before us starting the project.
Councillors. Councillor Offlow.
Thank you, Mayor. Just clarification of the recommendation. By including the Leederville Oval Master Plan as a strategic project, I just want confirmation that we aren't actually endorsing the Leederville Oval Precinct Master Plan in its current form, which was not adopted by previous council.
Through you, Mayor Cole, yes, it's a very slight change in wording. The plan before was the Leederville Oval Master Plan. We're requesting that the Leederville Oval Precinct Master Plan is included as a strategic project, which that plan itself does not exist.
So all we're saying is, please, for the future, please include a strategic project to do with the Leederville Precinct Plan, whatever, Leederville Oval Precinct Plan, but the scope of which hasn't been determined effectively.
Through you, Mayor Cole, yeah, it would say in the corporate business plan to implement the plan, to develop the plan itself. It's not about approving a plan. The plan hasn't been written, but we would want to see this. We do see this as a strategic project, and we would want to see it on the strategic project list of the corporate business plan to do this plan.
How many times did that working group actually meet, which this is the output of the working group?
Through you, Mayor Cole, twice.
And I assume everyone was in attendance.
Through you, Mayor Cole, everyone was in attendance at the first meeting. We did not have full attendance at the second meeting.
In the agenda item, what's the significance? There was a comment you made. What's the significance of the sites listing on the city's local heritage survey and the link to the disclosure of the lessees?
Through you, Mayor Cole, that there's no link between the lessees and the fact that it's a heritage site.
Can I just ask a few questions as well? Just in relation to the name Leederville Oval Precinct Master Plan, it does talk in the report about the fact that it's going beyond the focus of Leederville Oval and it's taking into consideration the entire precinct, which is outlined in blue on one of page 6 of the report. I'm just wondering whether so that there's a real understanding of what it is that we're looking at here. Would it be better described as something like the Leederville Oval and Civic Precinct Master Plan? Because, this is actually encompassing civic uses, community uses, the car park associated with the rec centre. It's very broad. And I think the question is, would it not be a broader description, not be more suitable?
Through you, Mayor Cole, I think we were trying to include some of the wording from the Leederville Precinct Structure Plan, being Leederville Oval, and it's titled an Education and Civic Sub-Precinct. Did kind of discuss Leederville Oval Education and Civic Sub-Precinct. Thought that was a bit too long, but then didn't want to go with civic and not education. When it is both of those in the precinct structure plan, we landed on just the precinct.
Are we actually looking at the education element, because it doesn't have the TAFE included. It's got Margaret's because it's owned by the city, but is it actually, I just wondered whether this was more of the community and civic and oval precinct.
Chair Mayor Cole, you're right in the fact that the uses that we're looking at are those civic uses within the education and civic sub-precinct, and we're not looking at the education uses, so we can absolutely retitle to Leederville Oval Civic Precinct Master Plan.
Maybe, yeah, okay, I think that would just be a clearer description. I also just wanted to say that in relation to the scope, it does talk about on page 4, the proposed scope of the Leederville Oval Precinct Master Plan is to prepare and implement. So the plan can't prepare and implement itself. That's just probably just a typo. But I just wondered whether this is just actually preparation of the plan rather than implementation, given that there's no there's questions over the cost and funding associated. And that leads me to my third question, is about whether there should be mention of the fact that this is with engagement of key stakeholders, making the point that it's bigger than the City of Vincent.
Through you, Mayor Cole, yes, very good point about the implementation. We'll review that in the project plan itself, as well as making sure that it's clear about that consultation with stakeholders that goes beyond the city itself.
Thank you. They were my 3 questions. Anyone else have questions? Okay, thank you. We'll move along then. Thank you very much, Manager. Item 5.9, the City of Vincent Arts Plan approval to advertise. Any questions? City of Vincent Thriving Places Strategy, item 5.10. Any questions? Item 5.11, outcome of advertising strategic community plan. Any questions? Item 5.12, outcomes of advertising amendment number 12 to local planning scheme number 2. This is about location of service stations. Are there any questions? Item 5.13, extension to leases to child and adolescent health services for child health clinics. Any questions? And item 5.14, offers for sale number 25, lot 93, Sydney Street, North Perth. Any questions? Yes, we're going back to skate so that Tara can go home. So we do need to just have a question on the confidential attachment. So Wendy, if you wouldn't mind just pausing the live stream again.
Can we do 6.4 as well?
Yes, so yes, so we're going to take some confidential questions on the